Hello everyone, welcome to Namia's Bookshelf. Welcome to this little reaction vlog. So I definitely did not come up with this idea. I got this idea from Claudia from the Spinster Library. Spinster Librarian, I'm sorry, it's been a really long week. Anyways, what she has done in the past is she's read chapter by chapter a book and reacted to it. I'm gonna do the same thing with Dracula. So my history with this book. One, I read it 10 years ago and I hated it. I did not like this book at all. I liked the first section, the first journal entries, and that was it. So having read classics for 10 years now, I'm going to be trying this again. Now, I will not be reading it in this form. I have an audiobook with a full cast, and I am excited to try it that way. I have big plans for this weekend, which is to read Dracula. So I will check in every chapter. I have just finished chapter 1, and I'm going to give you my spoiler-filled thoughts about the chapter itself and if I'm enjoying it or not. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. So yes, chapter 1, which breaks with May 5th, I believe. 1 second. I need to check that. I should have been more prepared. Yeah, so that is the first 22 pages in this book. It's creepy, it's interesting. I am enjoying this, but then again, I remember enjoying the first journal entries by Jonathan Harker before, and that's all I enjoyed. So I'm enjoying it so far, and I'm excited to continue on and finish this weekend. I also have a Dracula puzzle that I plan to do while listening to the audiobook. So it should be a fun Dracula-filled weekend, even if I don't love the book, but I hope I do. So we'll see. Anyways, the first chapter was good, creepy, a nice setup for a spooky and supernatural setting. So enjoyable. Morning. It is like, I don't know, it's Saturday morning. I am doing a Dracula puzzle. I can't really show you the box lid because it's holding pieces, but I'm doing a Dracula puzzle listening to Dracula, and I just finished listening to chapter 2 and I'm still really enjoying it. It is still what I remember as that great section of the book. So keeping on. I just want to show you what I'm working on. I'm working on this Dracula puzzle. It's longer than this. I just lost all the pieces that's collecting on there. Anyways, it's quite extensive. But I am collecting all the yellow pieces while listening to chapter 3. Sorry for the glare. Apparently it's bad lighting right now. But chapter 3 is interesting. It's where he doesn't sleep, Jonathan Harker doesn't sleep where he's supposed to, and then the vampiresses find him. I think it's really funny how they're sexy and how they're like unresistible. You cannot resist them. Very interesting telling of it. But anyways, it's good so far. So chapter 5, whatever it is, chapter 4, the end of Jonathan's section is where I remember it being good, and it ended good. I really enjoyed the women who are haunting him. I enjoyed the journal entries, and I enjoyed how he kept trying to escape and how he's scaled down the wall a couple of times. So this is where I think I stopped enjoying it last time. So we're gonna see how it goes. So chapter 5 was interesting. Lucy as a character, I never liked before. And she's not awful. It's just, yeah, I don't like portrayal of women in this book. I still don't. However, accepting what's the times and what's expected, I do enjoy that she has this youthfulness, this youthfulness, I should say, about her. And yeah, it's interesting. And then the suitors, because they are going to be the vampire hunters later, if I remember right. It's interesting to meet them in that way. So yep, chapter 6, here we come. So Lucy is sleepwalking. It's interesting, and it's interesting to see it knowing that she's already been bitten, probably. I can't remember if she was by this point or not. But yeah, very interesting so far, and I'm making progress on my puzzle. Let me show you. So it was a bunch of just massive yellow pieces, but I put together a bunch of rooms, and I'm working on this yellow here. So there it is, and on the ground, I have some building rooftops. So yeah, forgive my sweater. It's a bit interesting this Saturday. I don't feel great. So yes, I am working on it, and I'm enjoying my listen. So here's the progress. Well, I finished chapter 6 or 7 or whatever. The sea captain just died. And we had the story of, I don't know, how Dracula got to England. It's interesting. I am enjoying it. And I'm also enjoying like seeing these little scenes pop up. Like this one already, seeing that one and this one. So yeah, it's a really cool puzzle. But it's interesting to listen to it at the same time, since this is the sea captain, which we just read about. So yeah, good stuff so far. So we just hit the point where Lucy is getting blood, and we are also, I don't know, it's really cool, just all the scenes, and I love Lucy up there with the proposals. I'm working hard on this. I'm also really enjoying listening, like I said before, to it. In regards to the story, it's an interesting paradox to me right now, because we have Lucy, who is in this pre-vampire, or she's like the IV essentially for Dracula at this point, which is interesting. And her former proposals or former suitors are the ones who are helping her, or except for Van Helsing. So I think it's interesting. I forgot that fact, and I am enjoying it more. I am overlooking the fact that the woman who was a little boy crazy is the one who's becoming a vampire, but it's going well so far, and yeah, it's interesting, and I am enjoying it at the very least. So chapter 11 was good. I enjoyed seeing Lucy's demise as she's getting to that point. She's not a vampire completely yet, I don't think, but Mina hasn't been bitten either, and I know that's going to happen. So it's good so far, and I'm enjoying the journey. I haven't changed my position much. The puzzle is growing. I'll show you a better picture in a second. But it's interesting with Lucy dying, because I thought she was actually a vampire, and it's still intriguing me. I'm still really enjoying this, actually, which I am surprised about, to be honest. But I remember the last half was a lot more annoying to me. So yeah, it's still good, surprisingly enough. This is the Dracula puzzle so far. I have the sky to do. I've done Lucy getting bitten. That's the crazy guy who hasn't escaped yet. And that must be Mina. Mina's wearing red and Lucy's in green for all these pieces. So then, yeah, you can see it's coming together. There's Mina and Jonathan at the bottom there. And this is going to be the infamous scene at the end. So I'm really loving this puzzle, and I'm loving that I'm doing it while reading. So that was my chapter, or that was chapter 12, or was it 13? I keep mixing it up. Anyways, next chapter finished, and it is good. It's weird. The whole thing about Lucy got blood from 4 men, so maybe she's married to all of us. That's weird. But yeah, just... it's an interesting mix, and I think I'm halfway through now. I'll have to check, but yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought. I'm enjoying the plot of it, and Van Helsing, the characters. I just wish there were more women appropriately represented, but I do enjoy the vampire hunters. But I also really enjoy that Van Helsing knows, and he doesn't tell anyone. Like, why doesn't he tell anyone what they actually are fighting against? I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to keep reading, but I'm going to be done puzzling for now. All I have is the sky and rocks and like landscape, and my eyes are hurting after doing this for about 4 hours now while listening. So I'm going to just close my eyes and listen to the rest. I'm getting ready for work on Monday morning. I took a Sunday off from reading, but I have finished the next chapter, and I forgot to stop at that chapter point because I just keep reading. The chapters are interesting to me, how it's like multiple entries in some chapters. I don't know, it's interesting, but yeah, now Lucy's officially become the vampiress, and yeah, this is where I didn't like it before, although I am still enjoying it a lot, and I am still really appreciative of you know, the times and the errors and the way they thought of women. I get it. So, yeah, it's good so far. Chapter 15 is done, and Lucy's officially about to be beheaded. Or they're gonna try. I don't remember how long it took them, but yeah. Still good. Still good. I think it's weird still that they're like, well, we gave her blood, so we're very much like invested in her. But yeah. Anyways, I am still taking my time getting ready for work, but chapter 16 ended and Lucy is dead, for good and gone. It's interesting, the whole like religious talk and the crucifixes, and it's interesting. Yeah. I also don't like that as soon as she became a vampire, she is seductress and with like alluring, and it's like the women who are like that aren't good and proper. So I mean, that's one of the problems of the time for sure. So anyways, it's interesting. We're getting into the official Kill Dracula plot, I think. Like, they're on their way now to go and start their mission. So it'll be interesting. I remember when Mina was bitten, that was a real problem for me, how she was treated and how her character was. So that's going to be coming up soon. But yeah, so far I have thoughts, but they're not all bad. They're pretty good. Chapter 18, or chapter 17, sorry, was interesting. I feel like that's the only word I have to describe the sections. It's interesting how everyone's like underestimating Mina, and I do like that she's proving them wrong, but it is a bit difficult because they can only cry in front of her, and then she's basically their crying confidant, but she's so much more capable. And I hope that it's not just turned into, she's a woman. So that's why she's good at, comforting. That's why, so surprisingly, she's good at like shorthand, but that's all she's really good for is comfort. So I hope it's not going to be that. But yeah, on to chapter 18. I just finished chapter 18. Yeah, it is what it is. I have noticed that I'm actually not paying attention to the gender as much, or like the gender discussion as much as I'm focusing on the vampire story. So yeah, the group is together. The patient, I think in chapter 19, beginning chapter 19, he's like just started, but I was driving so I couldn't stop. So yeah, I'm enjoying it way better than I thought. I have finished chapter 21, I want to say, and 20. I read 2 chapters in one go, and it's interesting. I keep saying the word interesting, and I'm sorry. This section creeped me out. Those last 2 chapters creeped me out with the rats that are like a moving floor, and the fly swallowing. I just want to throw up saying it. So yeah, interesting, disgusting section. Although I am really enjoying myself. So I'm wondering actually if I am a horror fan, if I enjoy reading horror, because I have not had many horror books that I've disliked, although I just haven't read many horror books in general. So it's interesting food for thought for me. And it's like 2.5 hours left of the audiobook. I might actually physically read it because I want to get it done faster than I can via audio. And I want to watch the old Dracula movie tonight, like the very, very old one. So hopefully I can get that done tonight. Sorry it's so dark. I just finished listening to the next chapter while getting ready. We're waiting for Bible study, and Nina's been bitten, and yeah, they found Dracula. It's a surprisingly graphic book for what I was expecting, but yeah, still interested, still engaged with the story, but I am starting to get a little grossed out. Chapter 22 was where I'm starting to struggle with the whole, you have to believe a certain way, you have to be a super strong believer, and you can't, I don't know how to say it. You can't have any sort of allure if you are a good Christian woman. So I'm struggling with that narrative, but yeah, she definitely, Nina definitely is like the motivator, even if she's not a very main character. I don't think she's a main character in this book, but she's a motivator. She's like a plot device almost, which is interesting. Moving on to chapter 23. I have finished chapter 23, and they're on the hunt. They're on the race, and I'm enjoying it a lot more than I remembered the second half. So that's not a bad thing. I'm definitely going to give this more than 3 stars, I think. I think it's worth like a 4 at this rate. I mean, I have an hour and a bit left of the audiobook in 2 times speed. It's about 55 pages in the physical book. So yeah, I'm making progress. My goal is to finish it by tomorrow. And then hopefully I can finish off my short stories of Sherlock Holmes, and I'll be done Victober. But yeah, this is one of my Victober books, and I did watch the adaptation, which I showed a little bit of a clip of, I think. It's been a very mentally tiring week. But it was really weird watching, because I know I haven't talked about this. It was really weird how in the very first Dracula version, they made like Mina, his like Dr. Stewart's daughter, and Lucy was very little in it. I think it's an hour and 10 minutes or something, but it was just so different than the book. And they basically highlighted everything about the vampires and created a whole like extra section about vampires and, you know, sucking blood. But then they kind of skipped, like, Jonathan never went to Dracula. It was the guy who's the prisoner. So it was really like Dracula focused as opposed to Dracula hunters focused. So different choices. Interesting. And I'm excited to pick up the BBC miniseries version, because that's like 3 episodes, and I'm sure it'll be much more accurate. And I mean, obviously it's like 100 years apart in making too. So that's going to be impacting their quality of, I don't know, script writing and adaptations and tech. So it's going to be fun to compare the 2 adaptations once I finish this book, because I'm going to finish it first before I get into the miniseries. Chapter 34 was where we have the telepathy, the brain communication, and yeah. It's interesting to me that this book is so like anti-feminist when the cast is all men. And so they have a lot of conversation about that, but they really don't. There's not really much talk about it. So I don't know. But I am still very interested. I have an hour and 6 minutes left. I'm going to turn it off for the night, and I'll put it on tomorrow morning, and hopefully I can finish off with a bang and really enjoy the whole ending. So yeah, I remember that someone died, and I'm not sure. I think it was Van Helsing, but I'm not sure. So that'll be an interesting catch for me whenever that happens. So chapter 25 was, it's where they're like, Dracula's now manipulating the telecommunication, however you want to call it, the telepathy, that's what I'm looking for. So Dracula's manipulated it, and they figured it out. So, yeah, it's, I'm still thinking this is kind of like a 4-star book. I am really enjoying it still, and the only downside is that I'm having a really exhausting time with work, so I don't have the time to actually like finish it well. So I'm gonna try finishing it tonight, but I might fall asleep first. No promises, because yeah, it's been exhausting at work. I couldn't even express how exhausting it is. So I'm just happy that I can go to bed tonight and start my normal shift tomorrow. But Dracula's been good. And it's been enjoyable, even if I've neglected other reading duties. So the last chapter, 26, was good. The actions picked up, and I'm excited to finish it, honestly. So I'm gonna get back to driving. It is October 28th and I am finally finished Dracula. I finished the last chapter as I was driving, and the last clip was at a stoplight where I wasn't looking and I was looking around. So sorry, I am a safe driver, but Dracula I finished on my drive home, and the last chapter, the last really big chunk, I really enjoyed it actually, and I am really impressed with Dracula. I did not expect to enjoy it so much, and I really did enjoy most of the book. So I'm debating whether I should have a sit-down Dracula discussion or just have my final thoughts here. I think I'm just going to put them in here, and I'll obviously talk about my wrap-up. But yeah, so this one was really interesting to me. I know I use that word a lot, but it is because I walked in with the idea that I hated it the first time. I liked certain elements, but I hated so many. And then this time around, I found that I did not hate the elements like I had before. So I was really impressed that I've grown as a reader, but also I really enjoyed seeing a different side of things. This is definitely one that I am now happy to say I have read and own. I feel like I might revisit in the future, which I could not have said before this October. My thoughts about this were predominantly negative towards the women and how they were treated in this. But now I kind of see them differently. I really felt sorry for Lucy and how she was put in that position. And it's nothing about her that was the problem. It was just that she was bit. So I really appreciated a different side of Lucy this time around. And I still don't like the fact that the vampiresses are considered sexy and alluring, but I also was thinking about it, how Dracula himself is alluring and irresistible. So it's not just the women, it's all vampires. They have this draw to them. So I'm kind of okay with it. Not that I want that in books, but I am okay with the fact that all vampires have this thing that make you want to go to them. So that's something. I also found that Mina was a much stronger character than I had thought in the past. She, previously to my thinking, had been just a woman who is living the good and moral life, and while everyone else is, potentially immoral, she is fighting that she's going to be moral. There was an element of this, like this was pretty heavy on the Christianity versus undead fight. I mean, that's the whole book of it, or the whole point of the book. But I did think that Mina was a lot stronger than I remembered. She had gumption, and I'm using that word intentionally. She decided to fight for her own life in a way, and fight for the lives of those around her. She also was very intentional about avoiding Lucy's fate. And if she did end up like Lucy, she wanted to end up where she was no longer going to hurt anyone else. I also thought her strength to be hypnotized every single morning or night to help expose information was so incredibly strong of her. Also, while she is traveling with Van Helsing, the whole her trying to take care of him, while also she's probably his worst enemy in that moment, is such an interesting dynamic, and he never really falters until the end of that journey and trusting her, because he trusts in her character and her determination to beat this. So I found Mina to be very strong and very intelligent, but also very thought-provoking, and she really pushed forward a lot of the movement of the plot. It was her idea that got them going back to Dracula's home, and it is her ways of really thinking outside of the box, out of the coffin box. Didn't intend to make that joke. But it's her ways of thinking that really push this group to success. So I really liked this, and I am not giving it a 5-star, but a 4-star for sure. And I am so happy I read it again and enjoyed it so much more the second time than the first time. Also, in regards to the character who died, I knew it was one of the men. I knew one of the men died and they named their child after him. I didn't realize it was Quincy Morris, but I was glad that Ben Helsing didn't die because he's just so great. They all were, and I really enjoyed the cast of characters, but I really liked Mina in this one, and I really appreciated her more. So I think this was a success of a reread. So let me know down below, have you read Dracula? What are your thoughts on it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have mixed feelings? I'd love to know down below in the comments. Also, if you would like to, please like and subscribe. That would be so appreciative. I am so thankful that I have you who watch and who support my channel in that way. You can also hit that notification bell and get notified next time I post a video. Yeah, I am so glad I did this way of reading Dracula. I really took time to analyze it, and I am really glad that I can share my updated thoughts with you. So like I said, thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.